We're live. Waiting. Why are you waiting? Why are you waiting? Oh, I gotta fix my backdrop. I share this out. Get it going. And I think it's weird how it like someone popped in here like before I was like even doing it. And we are here. Where's Red Chicken? Red Chicken's taking a nap. He's irritated. He had to deal with a lumper today. And we'll go over a few things. You guys are like, what is your title talking about? Now, I think if you're watching me, put me on the lowest quality setting because that's what I deserve. And because it seems to be kind of like circle of deathy today. I was watching a live feed earlier. bigrigceo. Signal's been kind of dumb here lately. I'll tell you how dumb. So I had to deliver the Dollar General in Ardmore. And I had to, first of all, they got some new check-in procedures, right? They don't even ask if you got a CB anymore. They used to ask you if you got a CB, they tell you when to go to your doctor and all that. So guard comes out, gives me part, guard comes out, hands me this envelope. You got to put your bills in the envelope. And you got to fill out the envelope, put your phone number in, and you put it in the back of the trailer. And then when you're done, they call you and say, hey, your lumper amount is this. Or if it's prepaid, they just put it back in the trailer, call you up, say, sayonara, right? I was hoping it was because I absolutely have barely a whisper. And you can sit there and watch. It'll go 4G, 3G, you're screwed, nothing, go to hell, 4G. I mean, it'll literally just like a neon sign, right? And what sucks is when I called Coyote, I was like, all right, what's your load number? And she can only hear every other number. And so it was frustrating, but we got through it. And you know what I liked about Schneider was that when you called for a lumber check, man, it was like boom, right? Some of these brokers are hard to get a hold of, so I will only do certain loads that require a lumper with certain brokers that make it easy. And the problem with Coyote and some other brokers, not just them, I'm not picking on Coyote, I have a positive relationship with them, is that when you call, you know, you give them all the info and then they're like, okay, call us back in 15 minutes and we'll have your code for you. And I'm like, 15 minutes, really? So in a place like, well, I guess it doesn't really happen at Costco, but it made it worse, the fact it was pouring down rain. I had to get out of the dock door, and then also I was waiting, you know, I'm finding phone signal. I was literally driving around watching my phone to see where in the parking lot. Now, you literally go 5 miles down to that Valero off of 35, full-blown signal. So I can't even do my check calls. So it's kind of annoying. Yay, the Peterbilt next to me, shut off. He's got like the stacks like this big, you know. Charles Brandt, thank you for the $9.99. Thank you very much. Red Chicken will appreciate that. So, but it's been man, it's been raining straight in Missouri and Oklahoma and Texas for like, I don't know, I think 3 weeks straight now. But let's get to the title, which I've even already forgotten it. Okay, so let's do some shout outs and then we'll get into this game here. Welcome to my Saturday Night Live feed. Make sure you hit thumbs up and hit like and stuff. Hope you made it this far. Hope we can go further, right? All right, so we got Pale Rider TV, Jason Perry, Charles Brandt, Eddie Drotar, RD Truckin', Nick Brashears, haven't seen you in a while, Nittany Lion, Charles Brandt, thank you for the $9.99. Ball Striker Bandito, notification. Marty is hashtag KW, thank you very much. GNC Family Trucking, nothing witty. First, dang it. Red Chicken for President, absolutely. Ratman Roden, he can solve all of our problems. Waving from South Sioux City, Nebraska. That's say that 5 times fast. Mike Miller, John Armstrong, BB Truckin'. You can bake them, broil them, fry them. There you go. Maybe you know what I'm going to talking about, right? It only works if okay, what was already talking about? It only works if no one else posts. Let's see. The red chicken just need based in barbecue sauce. Hey, Jason, if you want to eat a rubber chicken, knock yourself out. I'll actually pay you money to see that. Convoy is a pretty good digital app. Request instantaneous. Yes, I like that. Schneider was easy. You called and boom, it email you the code. So now in this age of digital electronic situations, and you want the least amount of contact because of the world we live in, you would think that everything would be prepaid now, right? So take me out of the equation. RJ, we're gonna call you RJ for short. My day is better. We're doing all right. Dana Ladami, peace. Every YouTuber needs a troll, even Red Chicken. LOL. All right, so battles in shrimp boats. Okay, so here's the deal, man. When people want to argue on Forrest Gump become a millionaire, right? How did he become one of his entrepreneur? I actually said that right. Usually I struggle with that word. One of his entrepreneur avenues was the shrimp. And what happened was he was fishing. He couldn't find anything. And he was getting all his trash, And then one day he took a chance. This hurricane came in. And they stayed out in the water. And it wiped out the rest of his competition. Next thing you know, he was bringing it in by the bucket load. Personal story, I know. But the lesson is there. There's a lot of lessons in Forrest Gump. There's a lot of lessons good old Hollywood wants to teach us, right? And, supply and demand, right? Right now, there's a hurricane. It's called, COVID world, right? And it's going to take a lot of the boats out. And the ones that can withstand the storm, be all right. Be all right, right? Let's see, Team Tiny. All right, that's a weird statement. Perseverance, yes, it's a great Hatebreed song. After this video is done, go and type in Hatebreed Perseverance lyrics. Great song. BLR, hey brother, hello from Minnesota. Saw you're on. Hey, grab the remote and put you on the big screen living room. Hope you're good. I am good. Lug nut, it happens. Now, if you get a shrimp boat now, I'm going to be a shrimp boat captain. It's all about supply and demand. Now, the other aspect of the title, battles. Okay, this is something I experienced when I was at Landstar. Okay, so when I first became an owner operator, rates were booming, economy was booming, we were good to go, and the Landstar rates. And I researched Landstar rates. I wasn't just like signing on hoping for the best. I actually researched this with other drivers that I started to talk to. I met Ian Hanna from Tex Crowley, and he told me things to look out for. I friended a lot of Landstar drivers, especially through my YouTube. And, we were all a good gang. It was all good friends, And then, life said, boom, right? And we started to hit a freight recession. Why? Because there was a bunch of idiots like me that wanted to become owner operators, right? And there was a few things going on with the economy at the time. So rates kept dropping and dropping and dropping. Sure enough, I'm developing survival skill modes. It's like, okay, which was very difficult to do as a new owner operator, because when you're an owner operator, and mind you, I've never had to be that guy that was out 3 months at a time. I was never that guy. I never had to do the $1,000 a week lease payments. Never did that by design. So I would talk strategies on how other Landstar drivers were dealing with this little recession that we were in. And a lot of them went to the power only, like for Walmart. A lot of them were doing Walmart out of Sanger. A lot of them were doing Averett. Some were doing I can't remember the third one. And it allowed them to stay off the low board, run consistently, and those were hard accounts to get on, right? There was a waiting list. And I never went that route because I thought, I make a truck payment because I don't want to, self-dispatch. That's the only way. I don't want to be like forced into something. And that's funny. And I figured out my own survival techniques. Some were good, some were like, what the hell are you doing, right? And then I friended Jeffrey Like, and he kind of, gave me the Landstar versus Schneider spiel, and I went over to Schneider. Next thing you know, my revenue goes up, everything goes up, right? And I'm thinking, man, I can make a killing on referral bonuses, right? So I start talking to all my friends that are struggling at Landstar, because quite a few of them were calling me, like, because like their power only deals would go away, and they'd call me like, what the heck's going on with this load board? And I'm like, welcome to my world. I've been dealing with this for the last 3 months or whatever. And slowly but surely they started to have trouble making adjustments. So when I went over to Schneider, now I'm the guinea pig. Everybody's talking to me about, okay, what do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? And all that stuff, right? Yeah, caught more shrimps at Schneider. And so I was literally the last truck at that time. They got old trucks now, but I was literally the last truck that they let in that was before 2010. I went in, I was the last orientation in December. I had a 2009 Peterbilt, and January 1st of the next year, basically a week later, it was 2010 newer. I was grandfathered in. And that killed all my chances of bringing people over. And at the same time, Schneider had done away with the referral bonuses. That's how bad. Schneider protects his own whenever the economy or something, takes a dump. And it sucked because these people that helped me, there's nothing I could do for them. And slowly but surely, these people either gave up, or the bank took their trucks back. And I kind of compare it to a battle, right? Imagine like a typical battlefield, and you're lined out like World War II. You're lined out in the field, and there's no cover, and you're just your only goal is to get to the other side, kind of like D-Day, right? And your goal is to get from the boat to the end through the beach, right? And you literally got bombs, blasting by you, you've got bullets whizzing by you, and 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 your buddy here gets taken out, and this guy that you're next to on the boat gets taken out, and like, and you just keep your head down and you're dodging, and you get to the other side, and you look up to see who's left, right? That's exactly how it's going to be for the next 6 months. Is you're going to see people not make it. You're going to see people through their own demise, their own device, or some not through their own device. You're going to see people that would make it, but they may not want to make it. In other words, you might see people, that want to, that just don't want to fight anymore, right? And it sucks, because I'm starting to get that list of friends that's coming up, right? Because we're dealing with some hard times. The rates are starting to come back up. If you look at the load volumes in California on the dashboard, they were really good, and that's could be light at the end of the tunnel. It could be a reprieve, but as the states start to open up, the mail will go up, and naturally things go up. They won't go to 2018 levels. We'll be lucky if they go to almost 2019 levels. The load I delivered today was the first 4-digit number load I've done in a month. Of course, I've been running all the short stuff, right? And on top of the economic situation, we have the actual physical health situation, right? And you find out that your friends are sick. You find out that people that have passed away. You find out that people have to quarantine. And it's a weird world. I have a friend of mine that was probably going to have to fly from Green Bay to Texas, and there's a quarantine law, so he didn't go up to Green Bay, and because he didn't want to have to self-quarantine at his house in Texas, and a lot of things have been flipped upside down. So the aspect of that you got to worry about, worry, but think about. And I was thinking about this today. This is one of those days where I was actually out the phone. I did talk to a few people today, but I was on the phone with someone for the first hour I was driving. And after that, I just I don't know, rolled with the sound of the engine. Sometimes you just got to roll with the engine. The static on the CB and the engine. There's no radio. There's no phone calls. No, nothing going through your speakers, right? And I was thinking about a lot of things, and I was thinking about a lot of the conversation I was having with my friend, and I was reflecting on the things that I've been through, the things that and this is a battle. This is a fight, and so when I see people like, they get on Facebook and they're like, well, you should have had your act together, or I don't know what everybody's bitching about because I'm still, blah, 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 right? And I think it's really tacky, I think that's really like, I think, in my opinion is about as important as this pencil, okay? But my opinion is that when people are hurting, don't just sit there and criticize. Don't just sit there and tell them how much they screwed up. It's like kicking a person when they're down, right? But also maybe give them some, not even advice, but like maybe help change their perception, right? Change is what people need. Not like, well, what you should have done was you should have saved X amount of dollars every week, and you should have done this, and you should have done that, and but what I try to do, and I've failed at this, is I try to, like, well, you got to look at it this way, and the same friend that I was talking to this morning, he can reveal himself if he's in here, um, told me something, and we kind of agreed. What while everybody's like focused on, oh no, and what are we going to do, he is going, what opportunities can I get out of this? What opportunities, and the smart businesses, not just to capitalize, how to, okay, this is the new world here, and let's see what a good way to make money. Perfect example. My wife and I have been talking a lot about multiple streams of incomes, and we talked about t-shirts, and she had a really good idea, but then I brought up the idea of masks. Like right now, there are more and more cities and states that are requiring masks for you to wear just to be out, And what's interesting, I was at Walmart in Springfield grabbing some groceries for the weekend, and there was a big sign saying that masks are required in the store, but yet it was like normal. It was like only half people wearing masks, and I didn't bring mine with me into the store. I've got them on the truck. And I thought, you know what? And I was at a truck stop, and a UPS driver pulled up next to me, or no, not a truck stop. It was like one of those UPS van, like delivery drivers, and he was wearing a mask that said UPS on it, right there. I'm like, screen printed custom masks. That's a good idea. Like, what company is making those though on a mass scale, right? And lo and behold, Facebook spies said, hey, here's your company that does that. And literally the same feed on Facebook, there were several metal bands that had custom masks. I'm like, wow, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Capitalize on today's reality, right? And now, where manipulation happens is, let's make people afraid of the virus so they feel like they have to wear a mask, or make them wear the mask and then we'll sell them the mask, But my approach was more honest than that. It was more about, hey, you know what? That'd be kind of cool, and it's not like it's a new concept. It came to my head because, my kids tend to like a lot of Japanese culture and mask, stuff, and it's almost like a fashion statement. So I think, but that it's all about perception, right? And it's all about perception. If you're in a hotel with a huge repair bill, you can sit there and say, poor pitiful me, I can't believe I got to pay all this money. But then on the other hand, if you go, wow, I've got a hotel, I didn't have to get a tow truck, they got the parts in, and I'll be back to work, in 3 days, where I can pay this off, and I've got the cash or the credit to pay this, or I've got the backing of a company, and that'll alleviate some of the anxiety, because as we see our brothers and sisters in arms go by the wayside, getting knocked by the bombs and the bullets, that creates a depression. And there was a period this morning where I was kind of in a dark place. I haven't dealt with that kind of depression in a minute. And it's and I had to start changing my perceptions of things. And what was interesting is, this friend that I was talking to was like, Steve, I'm going to show you how this and this and this is possible. And I literally said, well, show me that magic, even remotely, how to accomplish what you're saying I can accomplish. And so I'm hoping I can learn something, because If that's the case, it would definitely help my business. It would definitely, and it might just be a perception change in a strategy. Because once you do the positive perception change, you come up with the strategy. So let's go with some comments here. Okay. All right. Tornado watch for Louisiana, says John. Vortex, Minnesota. We're talking about the Forrest Gump stuff. Daniel Adami is catching a lot of shrimp at Schneider. You're hauling the wrong stuff there, Daniel. You don't haul shrimp at Schneider. No, that's good, man. I'm glad you're doing. I saw Saving Private Ryan, hoping trucking is that bloody. Says Team Tiny. Rod Shell, the Freightliners littered across the highway. Yep. Lugnut, back in. Mac and Cheese, Team Tiny. I saw your video today. Good luck out there, bro. Let's see. CalArc driver almost hit me, Pell Rider. You need to retrain him some more. We're talking parks. I'm skimming. I think the media is downplaying how much the average people are actually hurting, truckers included. Heart goes out to you guys. And there's a couple of things going on, Tiny. On one hand, you got some press like really just making it sound like it's the end of the world. And then you got the other hand where you got some press trying to put some positivity into it. On the negative, what happens is that creates anxiety in and of itself. That tug of war of information. And a lot of people don't. When you go through something traumatic, like a death in the family or a big injury or something like that, that's blatant. You're going to deal with that, right? Or you have to deal with that. But what a lot of people don't realize is the small little things that add up. Like anybody who's gone shopping at Walmart here lately, you can feel the tension in the air, right? It is, and it feels so weird to have to worry about one way in the aisles, which, I kind of ignore that. And, and showing that space at the cash registers and just being more situational aware, so what used to be a pretty easy shopping trip is now a little bit like, and even if you don't believe in the virus, you don't think masks will help you or whatever, even if you don't believe that tension you're feeling, let's turn that on, look at my ugly face, and that adds up over time. And so when you're going to Walmart and you're feeling that tension and you're looking at an empty meat section and CNN just told you that, we're all going to die and your friends are going out of business, or they're not even going out, they're like giving up, they're like, what, the fight's not worth it anymore, or they have situations that require their more attention, and your whole landscape is changing. That adds stress, and that stress can lead to, well, number one, a low immune system, decisions based off emotion, especially with business. It might create a knee-jerk reaction. You might be cool for a minute, but then that knee-jerk reaction happens, and next thing you know, you've made a huge mistake. And misery loves company, so you tend to like gravitate towards the other people that have made the same decisions, or you gravitate towards, yeah, man, the brokers are doing this, or load volumes are really bad, let's all bitch about it on the phone for a minute, instead of figuring out what I need to do next. And we're all guilty of it, myself included. And that was one of the hardest things when I was home for 2 weeks. Was the second week I was just looking at the low board, like, oh my gosh, this rock bottom sucks. I knew we were going to hit it, and I knew I was going to have to deal with it eventually, but it just sucked, right? And so it became more important for me to focus on the positive things. It became more important to focus on, okay, what do I have right? I can see everything that's wrong, but what do I have right? And then I started to be clear. I started to sleep a little bit better. And next thing you know, I booked a load, and the first load I booked out of the house was $1.80 a mile, and it was actually, an overnight trip. Oh my gosh, no way, Steve. And it was, and then that kind of created momentum. But then Thursday, I hit a wall again. As I usually do in my short haul game, every Wednesday or Thursday, I hit a wall. And I lost a day between two loads, so my weekly revenue isn't that great, but the damage really isn't that hard. 3,000 miles a week, and still, and the same colleague of mine and me for $1 a mile, 3,000 miles a week, which is decent running, right? And and you do that all year, only to, after taxes and everything, deductions and everything, you've only netted 20,000. And then you look at the local jobs, like, well, I can make, by the way, anybody who says I can go to McDonald's and flip burgers and make more money, you have never worked for McDonald's, because it's a crappy job. So stop saying that. It's besides, I enjoy driving over, using whatever hamburger fancy machine chemical thing that McDonald's might use. But the reality is that all these things add up, and you got to keep the right mindset. And right now, the other night or the other morning, I think it was yesterday morning, I did a live feed. Right. And James and I are fine. I called him yesterday and everything was cool, And while everybody's freaking out and everybody's kind of like in this emotional, I don't know, wasteland, this emotional torment storm, I'm trying to keep as calm as I can. And trust me, I've had my days of anxiety. I've had my days where that depression really hits. Today was one of those days. It wasn't really anything that really triggered it. I think that maybe I don't have my act together as much as I think I do. And that's something that I honestly really try to keep in check. That I don't want to think that I've got it figured out. I don't want to have that ego. I don't want to have that arrogance that I have your answer and you need to do what I say. I really don't want that, because I have my weaknesses. I have my limitations. There are people that don't think that I'm doing very well at all, or I'm on the verge of this or on the verge of that. And some days they might be closer to being right, and other days, no, I've actually got stuff under control. And again, somewhere in the middle is where I'm at. I have a little bit of debt, and and I am worried about some of the stuff that might be coming down the line with the truck. So, so I'm looking at, okay, well, do I want to get a new truck? Do I want to change trucks? Or do I want to hope that I can get this stuff fixed as it comes along, or it's going to hit me all at once, but do I really want to invest in another truck and try to figure out how to deal with a 5-year, another 5-year note? Or do I want to just play it by ear? I don't want to get into a new truck if we don't recover from COVID world, and because I'm in a situation where if this bank takes this truck, it's really not going to put a ding on my credit. But there are other things that would help me if it was ever. And so all the arguing, all the, you go to these other YouTube channels that have these, you watch Truckers Coach, and you see the call-in shows, the call-in aspect. You see what the callers are going through, and you see in the comments, everybody's hurting, everybody's mad, everybody's angry. And even the people that are doing all right, they're even there like, oh man, you should have done this and you should have done that. And when Kenny Long called in the other day, he was very harsh in his message. And it was a hard message to hear for a lot of people. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that he said that were actually correct. And but he also put out solutions too, educating about the loans and the resources that we have in front of us. And you got the TST crew trying to create even more resources, and I believe that the government's trying to even create even more resources. So there's a lot of changes, a lot of activity going on that are out of our control, and that's stressful enough. So it's dealing with the stress, and so we're going to become shell shocked. If we're going to go with the battle analogy, we're going to become shell shocked. And just and if you can weather this hurricane, and that's the thing. Tornadoes are like one burst of sustained, damaging winds for hours upon hours. I've never been through a hurricane, but I've heard bigrigceo tell me about the one that he was in, and it's just like, that big gust of wind that happens in a thunderstorm that you endure for about 10 minutes. Imagine that times 5 for hours upon hours upon hours. And that's what we're in. We're in this like economic but also emotionally draining hurricane, right? And in difference is this: when you're on a battlefield, everybody's on the same side. Your army, you all have one goal in mind, right? Okay, and so as a force, you're all pushing forward for the same goal. Okay, the problem that we have is that we're in the same army, but we all have different goals. We all hate each other. We're all divided. And that is part of the problem. And so, and that's how the country's going. I'm not just talking trucking here now. So imagine if all of the veterans that were on D-Day on the beach were squabbling with each other. We're fighting with each other as they're trying to go up the beach. That's kind of the world we live in right now. And that in itself creates this stress, depression, and everything else. Now, the other thing is some people aren't getting the medication that they need. You may not be eating the best because, if you're old. And guys, I will tell you wholeheartedly, 100%, that your diet affects your mood. I'm proof of that, right? If I give in and have one cookie or something like that, I honestly feel the difference mentally. I really do. And and then I kind of go back and I get that clarity again. But there, in that stress level, that stress hormone constantly on you, it kills your immune system. It creates cortisol. You gain weight from it. You don't make the best decisions, and so there's like a quadruple whammy against us. If you're sitting at home, you don't have a job, you don't know if you're going to be able to pay your bills, you're having trouble getting unemployment, and on top of that, you're not eating right, you're not sleeping right, and that kills your immune system, and you don't want to go out, and when you do out, you have to wear a mask, and social distancing means that if you're a huggy person, you can't hug your friends, and there's like all these different elements, and so this stress level is getting to everybody, and my biggest fear is that if things don't start to pick up, or if we have to shut everything down again because the virus makes a hello, I'm back, kind of deal, I believe it's going to get worse. You're going to see violent crimes go up. You're going to see suicides have already gone up, and the temperature of things is not going to be great. So sorry, I'm reading comments. that's the glass half full, half the sieving crackling at the bottom. That's a good analogy there. Just got finished with the State Park Trail Walk. Nice to get out and about. That sunshine was it sunny? Because that sunshine's good for you there, TJ. I'm back, started over, got a call from a friend, found out he had a tumor on his bladder. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, RD. If Solar shaved off only the gray parts of his beard, he would have an epic mustache. Those one-way aisle directors might be a new stream of income, right? Houston, what's up? Smoothie. Subliminal, yeah. Of course, all them shrimps I've been catching is thanks to Chucky and Mr. Chuck. Okay. When Daniel broke down, literally had to get a new engine. That's not exaggeration. Packard said, "Yep, we're getting a new engine," right? And he had to depend on his friends, right? And I was kind of hard on him, right? To the point that he kind of hates me, right? And I told him, and he's like, there was like 8 of us on the phone with them, and he was like, "I'm going to pay you all back. I'm going to pay you all back." And we said, "This is how you pay us back. Learn from this," right? And I sent him a song, a Crowbar song, that the chorus says, "Learn from all this," right? And so one of the things he did is he gave me management. I said, even if you want to learn, you at least find somebody to help you that has knowledge of that stuff. And so GNC Family Trucking and his wife have kicked in and have helped him kick the butt and take names. And now he's back on track, right? And so he learned his mistakes. He learned that, this was a problem. This could be a problem in the future. So let's solve that problem. Okay, well, I don't know what to do. What can I do? Well, let's find somebody that has that knowledge what to do, that is succeeding. Chucky's doing very well at Schneider. So learn from the best, right? Emotional Wasteland, Snow Alert's new metal song. Mind over matters. It's mind over matter. That's all that matters. There you go, Lugnut. This just in. I literally just got handed my $1,200 stimulus check. Came in the mail. Awesome. Pappy Women's Jam, coming over to all the world. We'd love to have you, buddy. Pappy, I've actually thought about that, but the nearest DC is 100-something miles from me. And I don't know if that's doable or not. Right, the storm out, says Lugnut. Nobody's rowing in the same direction. Right, Eddie. That's good. You just said you got your check. It's 45. Yeah. Okay. Talk about mail. Just ate a bunch of Oreos. I blame it on the coronavirus. Are your teeth black, RD? Don't get discouraged. Don't be afraid. We can make it through another day. Or Tex, I'm not really. I guess I have my moments. I guess I have moments of being discouraged, and it's not really about the money per se. I mean, or $3 a mile, and now you're doing it for $1.10, or a load that used to pay $800 for a day, and now you're lucky to get 4. And when you see 20 and 30, 40 versions of that on the load boards, it gets kind of old. Or if you look, let's see how many loads are coming out of a 150-mile radius where I'm at on Friday, and there's 4. It's like, wow, okay. Or you find yourself going to, I'm a creature of habit, and so I go to the same areas, the same highways, the same thing. And that complacency can sometimes bite me in the butt, because I took a load. I remember there was a load I took to imagine that, and I it was going to York, Pennsylvania. No, it was something else. Anyways, and I took a load out of Jessup, Maryland, and I actually got on the Parkway because there was absolutely no choice. I screwed up, right? Luckily, I only had to go to the next exit. I checked I checked Google and made sure there was no bridges, and I went right by Homeland Security. I'm like, hello, I'm an idiot, thank you. And it was a very stressful day. And because I wasn't used to running the area, I made some mistakes, and like I felt like a rookie again. Steve, that complacency is going to bite you in the Kevin today, and we were talking about going to Salt Lake, and I had actually flirted with that thought. I was on the phone with James telling him, Roscoe was telling him, hey, that's a beautiful drive. There's a part of that that's like very postcardish. I like going out there, but I've never liked what the spot market had to offer to come out. And then Provost and I were talking about Arizona. And the problem with the Phoenix, Arizona area is that you got to either deadhead to California or hope that you can find a out. And the rates coming out of Arizona aren't great at all. So if the rates are good going in, it's not a big deal. But right now, the rates aren't even good coming in because California is so hot with freight right now that everybody's expecting you to deadhead to California, grab those loads and go back east with them, which the low boards was reflecting some really good stuff. However, I don't have skirts on the trailer. I don't have a California compliant trailer. And so that's money I got to invest. Is it worth that investment to go out there and use that opportunity? So so that's a different mindset. Is it worth it? I got to run the numbers. Will I do it? I've only been to California one time in the big truck that I drove. Now I used to go there all the time with my dad. I was born there, so I'm familiar with the state to a certain degree. But I don't know how long it takes to get that from one point to another off the 105. I don't know that. I don't know how many wildfires I got to dodge or how many earthquakes I got to watch out for. I don't know that stuff. And I have connections in California that could probably help me with that. But for me right now, something with that. And am I willing to go out of my box? Am I willing to stay out longer? Yeah, I am. I've been there. I've done that. And so those are the kind of things I reflect on the upcoming battles that we're facing. Regular seeing trucking YouTube channels. I'm serious. I even pray for Pale Rider. Awesome. Wallace. Worrying about dying is not living. Start living and move as if you know and believe, and it shall be so. That's good. That's a good saying there, Wallace. I've been saving money. I've opened a new checking account and savings account. The savings account is for taxes, and the second checking account is for any of my truck needs. Awesome, Daniel. Very good. Very good. You're learning. I haven't been getting that many miles at all at times. What revenue do you generate in a week, says Wallace. I'm going to keep that one to myself, Wallace, because it wouldn't be impressive to you. I tried to teach, but I'm the one who leads by example. I don't feel I'm good at teaching and explaining my madness. I'm kind of the same way. HJ, God bless America and free enterprise. Bad communists leave a bad taste in your mouth. Never forget the last 3 months. There you go. Flip the birds, okay. DNC got ones that can't teach and those that know how and can't teach. Rarely do you find those that can do both, right? The end of the road lives in Cali. Dying earthquakes, wildfires. You make me sound like bottles. It was kind of a joke, and I try to lighten the mood at times, and that's what the chicken videos are. I mean, I'm waiting for the troll to tell me it's an idiotic thing. It's like, yeah, if you want to make something that entertains my family, then you can go to hell, right? Just like that moron that was talking about the snitching. That's so stupid, maybe that's the guy that was saying was snitching. Maybe that's the guy that swatted Pale Rider. Maybe we ought to investigate that, right? So, Snarler, stretch your legs out. I'm in the same boat. Gotta generate more income. I think that's where I'm heading, Eddie. And as the low volumes pick up, I might go back to a lot of the issues that I'm finding is that a lot of the stuff that I was doing has been taken over by other carriers. So a perfect example. Schneider is grabbing some of the spot market freight. They absolutely are, because a friend of mine said on his bill said U.S. Express. Now, if you don't work in the spot market and have never done a brokered load, what happens is when you go to pick up a load, it'll either, the bill of lading will either have your name, your trucking name, or it'll have the broker's name, and sometimes the root broker name. So like Coyote, for example, is a third party logistic company, just like Landstar. A lot of people don't realize that. It says it right in the email. And one time I picked up a Coyote load, and it was actually like something like US Express or something like that. And but some people that have picked up Schneider loads have seen the broker's name on the bill of lading. So when I was at Schneider, I always thought that they never went to the spot market, but I guess I was wrong. And it makes sense because as a company driver, I had, every now and then my company would put me on a broker load, and I'd had to call a dispatcher's job, that whole kind of thing. And then sometimes when you grab the load with Landstar, if they grab that load from C.H. Robinson, well, now I get the Raycon from Landstar, and then I got to call C.H. Robinson off their Raycon, and you're going through three levels of communication. But Schneider is grabbing some of this, and you can spot it because it's the lowest paying stuff on your load board. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep you guys filled with loads. They're trying to keep their own trucks moving, the company trucks. So, if there was a dedicated account and now they got to get that person back, to where the good loads are, they might get a broker load back. So Schneider's absorbing a lot of this. A lot of the making carriers are. So that makes it even harder for the spot market guys. That we're not only competing with every, Tom, Dick, and Harry, but we're also competing against the companies that have a lot of power. Like the water loads I was pulling. Suddenly Schneider's got 10 trailers there, and now I can't find those loads anymore. So my good area that I was getting out of now becomes a dead end area, and now I'm struggling to find something, and I end up losing a day, or I get discouraged, and I make a stupid decision, and it's a snowball effect, right? Amount of coffee, probably not a good idea. I'm kind of like, I think I'm caffeinated up, so. Yeah, you can call me after this week, Daniel. Sorry, this is a live. I thought it's a replay. Any other numbers? I don't know what numbers you're talking about. Double brokering. Right, man, there's a difference between double brokering and co-brokering. I don't know what it is. Someone a lot smarter than me can talk about it. But third-party logistics is very common. Like let's say I started a brokerage and I approached Loud to be co-brokered. Like there are a lot of loads I do out of Springfield from this one broker, or used to do, that went up to Michigan. And on the Raycon it says this load cannot be co-brokered. But other loads, it's like, have at it, man. Like some of my best paying loads at Landstar were actually Schneider loads. So I was mostly pulling auto parts down, pulling 100% spot market. Okay. So it's a stressful, it's a stressful time that we're in, and I've been trying to find those quiet moments where I'm looking for, I don't know, that link, that aha moment, and what can I do better? What this reset button, there's like 100 different symbolic symbolisms, it was kind of redundant. There's 100,000 symbolisms that you can put on this. But I'm looking at my weaknesses mentally and my weaknesses financially, or not financially, business wise, right? And what can I fix? And I am worried about the truck, because knock on wood, I've been really good with it. Steve Berger, not so much, and his truck and his truck and my truck were not too far apart. In fact, our VIN numbers aren't very are extremely close by just certain numbers. And and that truck almost bankrupted him. But what did he do? He rose above that, and now he's driving. It's his freight base, but a lot of it's his mindset, and his mindset is adapt and overcome. And he goes, I always find a way. That's how I was raised. That's how I was bred. And me, I tend to there was I would blow up at the simplest stuff. A lot of people like Steve never gets angry. I have broken things over stupid stuff. I'll tell you a funny story. So I had this really nervous trainee when I was training at Translate. My wife had just got me this, or this cool dash cam, right? And I don't know much about dash cams. It was looking back, it was probably the SD card, but the dash cam went out after like just 2 weeks, and I was in the passenger seat, and something happened in front of us, and I wanted to save it, and the camera just said, camera gave me the big middle finger. So I grabbed it, I smashed it on the dash, and threw it out the window. It's somewhere on I-55 in St. Louis, right? And my trainee's sitting there like, he's got his hands on the wheel. He's like, oh my God, this guy's going to kill me, And at the same time, I was running with bigrigceo and his trainee, I believe. I don't know if he had a trainee or not. And we were running in tandem, and we were going to head into. James has a knack for finding any Starbucks with the truck. Like he could tell you exactly how to get in certain Starbucks all across the nation. It's a gift that he has. And so I get on the CB and I'm like, hey, guess what? He's like, what? My dash cam died. He goes, well, how did it die? I said, well, it probably died when I smashed it and threw it out the window. He goes, wait a minute. You just smashed your camera and threw it out the window? I'm like, yeah, I think my trainee's scared of me right now. He goes, well, he should be, And so and he goes, I've watched an amazing transformation from you in the last 2 years. And it's really weird because that he has that perception, because I look at myself and I'm like, and today this desk, this thing right here, it got thrown down because I was smashing on it because I couldn't do something as simple as get a lumper check because my phone signal sucked. I'm sitting here like putting the phone out here and hoping that and like there was one point where you got to talk a sequence of numbers, and it kept cutting out every other number. So we had to say the number like 15 times to make sure I had the right one. Same thing on the amount, And when I got the receipt for the lumper check, I was hoping that it was the right amount because if the amount's wrong, it wouldn't have cleared, right? So I still get angry. This steering wheel's been beaten many times. I've yelled many times. When I was accidentally on the Parkway, just Maryland, I was yelling a lot. I mean, a lot. And you have that moment where you got to pitch a fit and just and get it out of your system. Don't hit that panic point and get that angry, just raw. And then breathe, and then proceed to kick ass, right? You won't mention the Lamar incident. Think above the crowd, right? Is this a dumb idea? I would like to get a group owner operator, a customer with only one truck. Eddie, that's what Jeff has talked about, Big Rig Radio Network, right? But also there's a I forget who they were named, but there was a group that approached me at Matt's last year that essentially do that. They created a network of trucks, and they have their foot in the door on trying to get these contracts. But that's where networking becomes important, and so it's not a dumb idea. And see, and that, Eddie, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Think outside the box, and what you figured out is like, what, if I don't want to deal with the spot market stuff, I don't want to deal with this calling the brokers. How can I get around that, or how can I adapt and overcome that? How can I change my business model where I don't rely on that? That's a bad idea, Spooby. Says Spooby. If one person flakes, you can lose contract quickly as you got it. But a lot of people are under the impression that these contracts are set in stone, right? It's a constantly changing thing. So it would depend on how you would negotiate that. If you promise, I promise, regardless, whatever happens, I will move X amount of loads every week. Don't offer a promise you can't keep, right? Standing, but I'll give you a good example. So at Transland, I know I bring them up a lot, but they're the only company I was ever a company driver for. We had a contract with Scholastic up in Jefferson City. And one day I was delivering up in Moberly, Missouri. I was dropping my trailer, and my dispatcher calls. He goes, "Hey, I need a favor." Now, anybody knows that's had a dispatcher, and when they call and say, "Hey, I need a favor," you know that your day is about to get stupid, right? And he goes, "Hey, so here's the deal, man. Here's the address to this yard, this fenced-in yard, okay? And you need to grab this list of 10 trailers that are loaded from Scholastic in Jefferson City and take them to this other spot in Jefferson City. Because the contract stated that these loads have to be off their lot by X amount day, right? And it was that day, and they hadn't covered those loads yet. Someone almost went the wrong way on this, and that's why your Amazon stuff's taking so long, okay? And anyways, so they paid me X amount of dollars to literally shuttle 10 trailers. 10 loads were picked up. Yay! Now we have to worry about delivering them. And so I grabbed the last one was mine, and went up to Monroe Township, New Jersey, and everything was good. And so you have to be prepared for a situation like that. So maybe instead of an actual physical contract, maybe make a deal, or maybe tell the shipper, hey, let me know when these pop up, and I'll get this to get in that situation. I stuck through Springfield early Wednesday morning. Maybe I should have hollered at you to have a cup of coffee and breakfast. Wednesday morning, I was definitely, what was I doing Wednesday morning? Wednesday I was picking up a Joplin heading to Springfield, so yeah, that would have been cool. So Sonola, did you say I can call you after this? Yes. Calark driver came and talked to me, so I didn't hear your response. Yes, Daniel. You have to see and have other options. Oh, cover your butt. And have other options if some owner operator backs out, flakes on you, so you would definitely have to have a broker to give you that option. Right, there's a friend of mine that's got a deal going on, and he's had to look for outside help to cover, but it's a deal with a broker, and they understand. So that, if it's a broker, and the broker still saves money because they're offering for a lower rate than the rate that you locked in. So there's 100 different ways to run. I really am. I have some connections for some direct freight, and I haven't really explored the logistics of it. You got to figure out our factoring company and what Jeff's willing to do, and that kind of thing. And there's a lot of logistics to logistics. If that tells you anything. So, but other than that, I've rambled on long enough. We're over an hour. So if there's any questions that you guys have, any comments, concerns, let them out here, and we'll talk about them. You know, this is the your section of the video, your section. Chicks in America, what's up? Thanks for two different perspectives, Spoobie and Store Alert. Just looking for options. Thanks, guys. I think here's my opinion, and I could be wrong, but here's what I've learned. I noticed today, I was looking at some Uber loads, and there was an area I was looking at, and they have trailers now. They have a trailer pool. Convoy's doing the same thing. And I know and you got Prime and Schneider that have, and JB Hunt that have power only programs. You still run under your own authority or whatever company you're leased on. And so if I want to go in to say, I don't know, well, it would almost be beneficial if I had multiple trailers that I can park there and just do my own little drop and hook. I mean, that's the power these mega carriers have. You know, Crete, Schneider, Swift, Werner, their trailer pool is amazing. Transland lost an account to Werner for Bass Pro because they were going to have to invest in like a ton more trailers, and Werner outbid the company, and we like, I'm still there, right? They couldn't quite get the price that they needed to want to invest in those trailers, and that's where, you know, the extra lease trailers or the Stoughton lease trailers come in, and that's when you see a lot of that. You know, so instead of buying 10 trailers, you take 10 extra leases and you drop them, and then as long as you've got the drivers to cover them, or you're able to broker that out as a power only deal, you know, there are different avenues that you can go. And I think that if I wanted a contract with French's and I wanted to take it through Jeff's brokerage, well, then we can drop 10 trailers, you know, and pull those loads, and the ones that I couldn't cover, or like trucking couldn't cover, well, now we can put them on the spot market as a power only. And then you got to come up with a deal whether, you know, they could use the trailer coming back or what have you. So, but I know that most people have told me about contracts as the direct shipper that you have to like pretty much invest in equipment. Anybody who follows Escargo, he had a couple of drop trailers on account he had there in California. Money's in the trailers for sure, and trailers hold their value a lot better. I could probably sell this trailer what I owe right now if I wanted to, straight across the board. Especially since, like, in 2019, new trailers went from like 30,000, new dry vans, let me rephrase that, went from 30,000 to 34,000. But they retain their value about 18% better than trucks do. And so, like, according to the state of Missouri, on my property tax, this trailer is worth more than my truck. Which is true. I kind of owe more on the truck than the trailer. Good evening from Richfield, Ohio. This trucker's life. But see, having that capital to get those trailers, that's the struggle, right? So, if you guys have no more questions, I think this has been, I don't know, you guys like this live feed? Other than the one hater troll guy that believes everything that he's told. We've had a pretty positive live feed, man. I appreciate you guys. We got the super chat. I appreciate, you know, and I mean, there's not much more I could do or say here. It's you got to look at all these different avenues and what's creating your stress, and we're all in this battle together. And the shrimp boats that survive the hurricanes, it's a good way to put it. So maybe you need to get in Zella more. Yeah, you know, it's funny. literally get in Zello, and then I'll get a phone call. Um, and then I go back and there's like 83 messages, and I don't go back to them, but there was a time where I was in there a little bit too much, um, and that's where that snitching comments come from, because some YouTubers made a video of me saying something that made it look like I was snitching on somebody, but we've cleared the air with the people that I supposedly snitched on. So thanks for the nuggets of info gold. I appreciate the compliment. I really do. I'm just another driver out here. I don't have all the answers, and sometimes you just got to turn the phone off and just let the engine talk to you, man. Just you're doing an 800-mile day, and the road's straight, and you're not dealing with traffic, or city BS. Let the engine talk to you, man. Clear your head. I think clearing your head and some kind of meditation process, I think is important. I'm not sitting here like every morning. I'm not doing that, but sitting there drinking my coffee if I'm not under any pressure. If I'm sitting in a truck, I've been doing a lot of sitting. That's the problem with short haul is, I'm doing like literally 100-mile days, so I'm doing a lot of sitting. I think I've said that like 15 times, and I apologize, but go for a walk. Walk definitely clears my head. And it's hard to do when it's raining. Like I wanted to go for a walk today, but rain was like, no, you don't. Oh, by the way, this TA has got a swimming pool at the fuel island. It is awesome. What channel do you guys sell on? We are on two different ones. Daniel's got a channel called That's Trucking, and then Pale Rider TV is the other channel. Now, Snowlord does have a channel, right? I think that I've only got like two people in there, me and Chucky's a very he's a very loyal dude. And we really don't have any rules except be respectful, and there's not a lot of trash talking. Some Zello channels are all about trash talking, or we don't get me wrong, we do razz each other. There's a little bit of argument between Salty Pirate and Daniel today, but for the most part, we kind of just talk about our day, what we're dealing with, and we've helped each other. There was a time I was having an issue with water leaking into the cab, and I didn't know where it was coming from. So I was on Zello, like, I don't know what to do. So Jason Perry, who's had one of these 680s before, he goes, all right, open the hood up, go to this little tube, see that tube out, you go squeeze it, pull this water gushed out. And he explained what was happening. And then he also sent me a link to a YouTube video that explained that, right? And so we've helped each other solve problems over Zello. So most of the time, Zello can be a positive place, but it has its moments where it's not, and so you just get away from it. So already trucking. Have I been sitting a lot? Well, yeah. Mr. Bill, love from New York. Heater box drain tube. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. I was sitting here driving. I was like, "What's that smell?" And I looked down at my passenger floor, and there's water. I think about 3 gallons of water came out of that tube. I was like, "Well, no wonder." And the black is like this black gut could smell like something died, right? So that's trucking, yes. But the RD, to answer your question, the sitting that I've been doing, a lot of it's my own mistake, because like when I delivered Oklahoma City on Monday morning, and I was looking for a load out, which Monday morning load boards are brutal, right? So I finally found the load, but it didn't deliver till 1 o'clock. When I got to Joplin and was looking at the load board that morning, everything had to be picked up an hour away or half an hour away, or even in Joplin, like 11 a.m., 10 a.m. And I know the customer I'm delivering at 1 will not. And next thing you know, there's a point in the spot market, right? When you're looking at, and this happens to you, Schneider guys too. If you wait too long, you're okay. I'm looking for the 14th. Today's the 14th. So you look and you look and like, oh crap, there's only like 20 loads left. So you add the 15th on, and you know what's left is stuff that you don't want to do, or the times don't work, or something like that. And that's what I ran into twice this week. First time was because my delivery time that was late, and the second time was because my delivery time was too early. So starting my clock at 3:45 in the morning killed my whole day. So at some point, I gave up on looking for a load for Thursday. Okay, let's look for a little bit further out range for Friday. So, and that's kind of been a problem for me, trying to fill in those gaps. I know that when Harold was with us, he was really good to be braver, you know. And my first 6 months in the spot market, I was not brave. I was getting those gaps, and that was the problem I had at Landstar. Now Schneider, it's easy to fill those gaps because of all the drop and hook. But to adapt to that, and that's what a lot of the Schneider guys that went to the spot market, that was their biggest lesson they had to learn, was how do you deal with just having one trailer. So yeah, hashtag that's trucking. I'm sorry. Ever thought of getting into the dispatcher? TC box? Absolutely not. I got into this to not have a dispatcher. Now, with that being said, I have had my wife download a couple of load boards. So if there's something I'm looking, she could get a second set of eyes, right? And that's where relationships with certain brokers. Now, I have people that run that kind of business, that dispatch business. But with these kind of rates, you're going to have to pay a dispatcher. Making, instead of 80%, now I'm making 75%. And when loads are an average, it's not that I don't know how to dispatch myself. bigrigceo was talking about, booking 8 loads in a row. I've done that. I have that ability. In the section of orientation where everybody's like struggling on how to do the hours and everything, I was just like, done, okay. And for me, it's about confidence. Like, in the first year, I didn't want to burn any bridges with brokers. I didn't want to be that guy like, well, I miscalculated this unload time, so it's going to be about 3 hours before I get to the customer. And I didn't want to be the guy, or cancel loads because, I didn't book myself right. Or I booked something that, like, literally impossibly can't be done. So, and I thought I did that with this next one I'm picking up in Fort Worth tomorrow. Because I'm looking at the times, I'm like, holy crap. And it's going to kill my Monday, because it picks up at 9:30 tomorrow night and it delivers at noon, 400 miles away. So I'm literally going to have to go in at the last minute and then get to the customer probably about, I'm going to guesstimate 9 a.m. and hope that they'll take me a couple hours early. And if not, we'll figure it out from there. I won't put that method out there. So smart, get wifey on it. You can search loads while you drive. And that's the gist of it, and so and Landstar had this feature too. Schneider, I think, did. Maybe they did. Yeah, they did. You had the favorites, right? So a really good feature, and I'm not sure where it's at on the 123 load board. I'll let Jeff sell that, but you can add favorites, right? You can, like I hit add to work list, add to work list, add to work list. So I get 10 loads I'm somewhat interested in, right? And then I'll go to that work list, and then I'll go through there. And one of my biggest, if I had any complaint about the spot market, My biggest complaint about the spot market is brokers that post loads with no information. And that's the beauty of digital brokers, is you can look at the customer, you can look at it'll even give you a Google Maps link to it. And there's customer reviews, right? Like driver reviews. So like Uber, for example. You look at a load on Uber and you look at the average unload time, and then you book that load. So now you got kind of an idea of what you can probably get away with on booking the next load. If you click on a thing and it's got 3 stars and everybody says horrible, 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 or don't go in early or whatever, I'll probably avoid that load unless it's in a situation where I know I could take advantage of their detention policy. There are loads that I'll specifically take on purpose, knowing that I'm going to get an extra $100 for detention. So now this 200-mile load is paying exceptionally well. Customer reviews seems like a game changer. Get these receivers handing out donuts, coffee, they need to use the bathroom. Yeah, I mean that's a big part. And if like so, another method that I do is, let's say I book a load with Stage Robinson. So like, I'll get in Google Hangouts contact with my CH guy. All right, I'm interested in load number blah 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 blah, and so he tells me the rate. We negotiate the rate, and I ask, first things I ask is product, customers, and he'll tell me, and then I'll actually like Google that stuff and look at Google reviews. What kind of unload time are you looking at? What kind of, and some of the Google reviews are really good, because they'll tell you, oh, don't go in that entrance, go in this entrance, or if you come on a Monday, prepare for this meeting, that kind of stuff. And it helps you make an educated decision on how to book the next load, because sometimes booking ahead is the only thing that's going to keep you moving, right? 3 o'clock shuffle it's kind of a weird balance. The 3 o'clock shuffle is the only way to get the best rate right now, but you are taking a gamble on sitting a day if you don't have your act together, especially if you've already started your clock. You need recorded videos on this stuff? Yeah, I know, Team Tiny. I try to do little nuggets here and there. But I do these weekend lives, and I got I've had some weekend lives where I have absolutely nothing to talk about, and I have weekend lives where I'm like, I don't know, I'm inspired, I guess. Because an hour and a half long live feed is kind of a bit much. People see the replay like, I'm not putting up with Steve for an hour and a half if I can't interact, right? But I wish more brokers would post that information. They don't have to post everything, at least the times. Because while I'm calling on 10 different loads, not knowing if the times work or not, and you're on hold, and and all this stuff, it's a lot of time, and I would think as a broker, now I might be wrong because I'm not on that side of the desk, but I would think as a broker, I wouldn't want 20 phone calls only to have them hang up because the times don't work. Now I notice that some brokers will put the times, if they're like screwed up times, like this is 3 a.m. and delivers at 9 a.m. the next day, that kind of stuff. But there's been many times where I call on a load and it's like 680 miles. Or no, I called on one the other day. 752 miles. It picked up Thursday at 7 a.m. and it delivered Friday at 7 a.m. And I was like, is that a typo? What is that? And they're like, no, that's real. I said, you realize 752 miles can't be done in that time, right? Oh, that's what the customers got it for. Well, obviously you haven't educated them, and I'm not in the mood to educate you. And it might be a third-party logistic load anyways. So, and it sucks because it's a load that I would really like to do if the time worked on the delivery side, right? And sometimes you can negotiate that. A lot of the loads that I did really well with, last year were open window loads. And so now it's just a process of making sure I had my times right for the next load. Too bad somebody can't develop an app that shippers can post loads and drivers can click and go and get rid of brokers altogether. Jason Perry, those things are already starting to exist. Uber, I believe the shippers can directly post those loads. I like times, weight, commodity. Yes, overtax. I'm the same way. Because there's been times where it's like, oh, this is a perfect load, and I find out, oh, it's scrap metal. I'm like, no, or it's batteries. Old batteries in the trailer. I'm not really down with that unless I absolutely have to. Jason Pierre, I brought that up to Freight Broker Live. He was unamused, but technology should be able to take it over. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Traditional brokers hate the digital format. Let's tell you right now. Because of that very reason right there. Now, what the digital brokers also have an advantage over is the algorithms. They know where the trucks are at. They know what these people go for. And there are some digital brokers, I will not mention them, that when you bid on them, there might be ghost bids to keep the prices down. So you think you're being outbid, but you're not. So there's some shady practices there too. However, the digital, so take like Coyote, they're a traditional broker, but they've embraced the digital format. So you can bid on their loads and you can see the commodities. You can't really see the customers, but the customer is only an email to your representative way to figure out who it is. And they're willing to tell you that. Now TQL won't tell you jack until they'll tell you product. They won't tell you the customers until you've actually booked the load. So, which to me, that would create an open situation of, like, let's say you call on a load that's going to York, PA, and it's and you're like, oh, it's going to York, PA. Who's the customer? Well, we can't tell you that until after you book it. I'm like, okay, well, I'll book it. So you book it, and then you get the Raycon, and it's CNS, that's been known to take 8 hours to unload there in York, PA, right? And so so you get a call, you call TQL, like, oh man, my driver had a breakdown, I can't do that. You get that up. Now, is that a good business practice? Absolutely not. And you can ruin a carrier's reputation with a broker by doing that kind of stuff. But people do that all the time. I just said didn't I? But I would think that I wouldn't want that opportunity to be created, I don't know. That's just my thinking now. Uship has a lot of home goods. It will come soon. It's called blockchain, like what they use in cryptocurrency. I'm account with Uship, and I keep forgetting to see what there is. And that I'll bring up a point. You guys that think that you might want to look at the spot market, download 123 load board. You can use that load board without an MC number, and you can see the rates. You don't even have to pay for the service. You get the free, is it like three look-sees? And and just kind of get an idea. I talked to a friend that was literally running a virtual trucking business, and what he did is he just followed the loads off the 123 load board and pretended to book them, and then put the money together and the miles together and what was possible and the hours and everything. Just kind of get an idea of how he would run things when he decides he wants to be an owner operator. And I think that's smart. You could start a website that lets customers post a freight for a small fee and then drivers get 100% of the rate. You would quickly become driver's favorite board, so the freight would move fast. I'm late, but we'll catch the replay. Anyways, we're going to end this live feed now, unless you guys have any more questions. And and comments, concerns. I appreciate everybody coming in. Thanks for the super chat. It's we're in for a rough ride. We're in a rough ride, and I've already seen some friends drop by the wayside. And sometimes that's disheartening, but we got to soldier on, right? So, at any rate, thanks for watching, and keep your wheels on the ground. Pale Rider says, "Stay safe," and I'm like, I don't know what to say. Give me a catchphrase I can say at the end of my videos. Who cut your hair? Nobody cut my hair. Still got my hair. Haircut. Overtaxed. You need to fix your glasses. Check out Right Load. Already singing who's that? The Police. The Police. Right? Keep true to the red, white, and blue. That's a good one. That's your saying, right? Isn't that what you say? Oh, congratulations to Salty Pirate TV. Every YouTuber goes through this phase where they decide, you know what? While I'm here at the Iowa 80 or Joplin Petro, I'm going to get vinyl put on the side of my truck promoting my YouTube channel. Okay? We've all done it. We've all done it. And if you haven't done it, you will. Okay? Created logos. Like, you guys remember when Lil Dog was at Traveloco and he had like keep trucking like the size of the trailer? Salty Pirate just did that, promoting his YouTube channel on his trailer. He literally put like the thing that takes over the whole skirt, and then it takes over the whole back doors. So I want to congratulate Salty Pirate in hitting this next phase of YouTubeisms, and hope that you acquire success, because here's the reality. I've been that guy that's promoted my YouTube channel yet did not put out any content. So keep that in mind. It's all about the content. Here, well, no, I'm not on Facebook, so on this phone here, or else I would show you. But at any rate, guys, thanks for watching. Be safe and survive, and all kinds of stuff. Salty Pirate even has his channel name on his Uber car for home time. We'll start that rumor. How about that? Anyways, Daniel, go ahead, call me. Peace.